There is a moment so still that it feels like the world has forgotten you. The air grows cold, the plans unravel, the doors you counted on become locked, and everything you thought would hold you steady collapses like paper beneath your hands. In that quiet, when the lights go out and the heart trembles, destiny sometimes whispers. It is there, in the unlit corner of your story, that a presence leans down and says, "Listen, do not mistake the silence for absence. Do not let the shadow declare the verdict. There is a work being done in the darkness you cannot yet see." You have stood in that place. You know the taste of it, the metallic tang of fear that rises. When a life pivots on a single bad report, a single betrayal, an illness that came like a thief in the night, a relationship that splintered, a dream that seemed to die on the vine. You may be walking through that night as I speak. I do not pretend to know every detail of your wound, but I have watched the pattern. I have seen how what looks like an end becomes a beginning. I have seen the hand that writes new chapters on pages that seem to have been torn in half. The very thing that feels like finality is often the hinge on which a new destiny swings into place. You know, do not reduce your dark moment to shame. Shame is a liar that would have you think that you are finished, that your worst hour has defined you forever. Shame will tell you that the story is over, that the mistakes are permanent, and the door is closed. But you are more complicated and more loved than that lie. There is a kindness in the universe greater than the sum of our failures. There is a mercy that finds us in the pit and touches the place that has been stripped raw. That mercy does not excuse wrong, but it restores the one who is willing to be transformed. There is a shape for you beyond the collapse and the grace to step into it. You know, when you are in the valley, what do? First, be honest. Speak the fear aloud. Name the loss. When the ancient voices cried in the darkness, they were not abandoning faith. They were voicing the deepest cry of the soul. Honesty is where healing begins. Bring the darkness into the light of truth. Admit the wound. Admit the doubt. When the secret is named, it loses some of its tyranny. You can carry it then in the open with hands that receive help and hearts that can be mended. All right? Next, remember that small promises can become the rails that keep you from falling. Cling to any whisper of truth, a remembered line of scripture, a promise once given, a kind word from a friend, a moment when you felt inexplicably held. Treasure the faint light. Repeat it until it becomes a rhythm. Faith does not always begin with thunder. Often it begins with a whisper repeated until it is a steady mantra for the soul. Hold to that promise as the lifeline that pulls you through. Do not isolate. The deepest irony of despair is that it wants loneliness for its breeding ground. It whispers, "Leave them. Hide." But community is the cure. Let someone in. Tell one person the truth. Allow a friend to pray for you, to carry a bag, to sit in the dark with you. Human hands are holy. They can be bridges. When the ground beneath us gives way, the body of faith is not a theory. It is a network of rescue lines. If you will reach, someone will catch. If you will name the need, someone will meet it. The simplest act of vulnerability can begin a chain reaction of rescue. You know, suffering can be an unkind teacher if we waste it. Pain has lessons if we are students. It teaches humility. It teaches urgency. It teaches clarity. When the comfortable life has been stripped away, what is left are essentials. Love, truth, courage. What you thought necessary may have been a distraction. The storm reveals what will hold and what will falter. Do not rush to fill every empty place with noise. Sit with the emptiness long enough to learn what it wants to teach. That is how character is formed. Let the stillness be a tutor, not a tormentor. Remember that a refiner does not stand at a distance. He watches the metal in the fire, waiting until the dross rises and the true substance begins to glow. The flames are not random cruelty. They are the craft of transformation. You are not the only one scorched and shaped by fire. The same force that refines silver has touched the lives of those who now stand with quiet strength, who can carry compassion because they were once broken and learned to receive. The scars become seams where light can enter. In the shaping, something noble is being born. When your world is shaken, you'll be tempted to bargain with your faith. You may whisper offers in the dark. If you heal me, I will serve. If you restore me, I will never complain again. Bargaining can be a doorway to deeper commitment. But beware of conditional faith that only loves for what it gets. Deeper faith learns to love through the doing and the not doing, to trust not solely for outcome, but for presence. There is a holiness in holding fast, even when the prize is not yet in hand. This posture, steady, wordless, enduring, is like a root that goes deep, while the storms reshape what lies above. All right? You will also be tempted to rush your recovery. The quicker we are to fix the wound, the less time we give it to educate us. Growth is messy. It is not entirely comfortable. Some pruning cannot be hurried. The season has its own timetable, and the patient gardener will not be hurried. If you stomp at the soil because you want fruit immediately, you may rip out the tender roots. Instead, tend the ground. Water the small shoots of faith. Feed the soul with steady rhythms that do not depend on emotion. Spiritual formation is slow work. Trust the slow work. Action matters. Faith that is alive moves. Even a tiny step forward in the dark is a rebellion against despair. Call one number. Open one letter. Walk to the window. Take the small way that your trembling hands can manage. Do not wait for inspiration to strike like lightning. Be faithful in the little. The bridge between the pit and the palace is built one stone at a time, and often the first stone is an act of obedience performed in a room where no one can see it. Do not despise the self-care of rest. There is a worn-out kind of holiness that wears exhaustion as a badge. Rest is not sloth. It is stewardship of the body and soul in the quiet. Listen, often the voice that steers us is soft, and the noise of anxiety drowns it out. In stillness, the heart hears the cadence of truth. Sleep when possible. Eat. Walk. Allow the body to heal, so the spirit can rise on a renovated frame. Forgiveness will be necessary, sometimes for others and sometimes for yourself. Forgiveness is not excusing what was done. It is the decision to be free from the constant rebiting of the wound. To forgive is to unshackle your hands so they can be used for blessing. Do not let bitterness be the inheritance you pass down. Choose the hard mercy. It will not be easy, but it will be liberating. When you forgive, you reclaim power you thought was lost, and you make space for beauty to return. You keep your eyes on the horizon even when the road is broken. Hope is not naive. It is courageous. Hope sees with a different set of eyes. Where fear sees dead ends, hope sketches possible paths. Hope is not an emotion only. It is a stance. It is the posture of one who decides that today will not have the last word. When fear screams that all is lost, hope whispers, perhaps. Keep that. Perhaps like a seed in your palm. Plant it with your small acts of faith and water it with courage. Use the ache to love better. The one who has known betrayal may become the most vigilant guardian of trust. The one who has known hunger may become the most generous giver. The crucible refines compassion. Your wound, when healed by mercy, becomes a medicine for others. When the new season comes, you will find yourself drawn to those in ruins, instinctively reaching out because you remember being cradled once. Your story will become a map for someone else who cannot yet see the way home. Be patient with yourself. Growth is not linear. Some days you will feel progress like a river flowing. Other days it will feel like 2 steps forward and 3 steps back. The backward step is not failure. If you get up and keep walking, do not be surprised by relapse into old patterns. Notice, repent, and return. Grace is not a one-time gift, but an ongoing river. You will not be undone by a stumble. You will be defined by what you do after the fall. There is a season in which your identity must be reforged. When everything familiar falls away, the question becomes, who am I without all that I used to own? Your true identity is not your title, your account, your reputation, or your achievements. Your identity is found in who you are before the one who knows you. Most deeply, in the character that remains when applause fades. In the pit, you discover whether your faith was shallow or true. Use that discovery to build a deeper self, one that can weather storms and hold blessing with humility. Now, be brave enough to tell your story truthfully when the time comes. The raw story, told with the clarity of what you learned, has the power to heal. People do not need polished testimonies as much as they need honesty. The moment you tell someone how you were broken and how you crawled toward light, you unchain a part of your soul and create permission for others to begin. Testimony is currency in a world that trades in trauma. It pays out hope. Sometimes the solution arrives in the form of work, a vocation repurposed, a creative endeavor sparked, a relationship mended by shared labor. Put your hands to something practical, create, build. The act of making gives structure to chaos. Even simple tasks, done faithfully, create momentum in the soul. The rhythm of labor is a prayer without words. Let your hands shape the next chapter, even while the heart is tender. Pray without pretense. Prayer is not a performance, but a conversation. In the dark, speak the truth. Pray anger. Pray sorrow. Pray laughter. The divine is not afraid of your honesty, see. Prayer does not demand perfect posture. It accepts the raw posture of a broken heart. When you can no longer find words, let silence be prayer. Let the tears speak in a language that honors what words cannot contain. When the reversal comes, and often it does in ways you cannot predict, do not hoard the blessing. Give. The economy of resurrection is generosity. The one who receives abundance without debt to the community will find the next storm harsher. Steward the gifts. Bless those who still sit in the dark. That is how the cycle turns. One life rises and pulls others with it. The light multiplies. When it is shared, there will be critics. Always, some will say you were lucky, that your turn was mere chance. Others will say you deserved it. Let them talk. Do not make your peace dependent on the opinion of those who have not carried your cross. Let your life be your answer, not the noise. Build quietly, give loudly, and live with integrity so that the critics will have to stand in the light. Practice gratitude even in the small things. Gratitude is the oxygen of faith. It alters perception. A heart that can name 2 small mercies each morning becomes dots. A heart that sees a road in what once looked like ruin. Gratitude is not flippant cheerfulness. It is a discipline that trains the soul to see the fingerprints of kindness in the everyday. Hold on to beauty, seek music, find a sunrise, read a poem. Beauty reminds us that the world is not gray and meaningless. It testifies that creation still sings, even when the singer's muted. Let art and nature be your companions in the dark. They will remind you that the story has more than a single chapter of sorrow. Allow your mourning to be accompanied by action. Lament is holy, but move from lament to repair. If relationships shattered, pick up the pieces where you can. If finances failed, make a plan. If health wavered, find a practitioner and follow a regimen. Practical steps do not negate spiritual reliance. They complement it. Faith without works is brittle. Works without faith are hollow. Let them work together like 2 hands holding a lamp in the dark. Do not be afraid to change course. Sometimes the path you had planned is not the path you will walk. That does not mean failure. It means adaptation. The pivot can be the very map of redemption. The one who loses a job may find a calling. The one who loses a marriage may discover a deeper vocation. Trust that the loss can be the cradle of the next art. Vocation, if you will learn and keep your heart teachable, remember that endings are not final. If presence is in the scene, death and the sharp endings of life shape us with urgency. They remind us of what matters. Live with urgency, but with mercy. Let the inevitability of change sharpen your priorities. Speak the words that matter. Kiss the forehead that needs it. Forgive before you must beg for forgiveness. Live so that when the night does come, you have fewer regrets and more testimony. When dawn comes, and dawn will come, do not return to the life that kept you from becoming who you were called to be. Many return to safety and call it wisdom. But sometimes safety is the enemy of destiny. If the storm has broken your bonds, do not simply reattach them. Use the freedom to step into the shape you were meant to inhabit. Walk into the next season with a renewed sense of purpose and a humble heart that remembers the nights and honors what they taught you. Finally, believe that your darkest moment can be a greatest opportunity. This is not a platitude. It is a declaration drawn from history and the thin miracles of everyday life. From the pit comes leadership. From exile comes revelation. From brokenness comes a depth of mercy that can hold others. The one who has known night can be the most luminous guide. If you will allow your suffering to be sculpted by kindness and truth, you will become a vessel of remarkable capacity. Do not underestimate the small, faithful practices that accumulate into a life. A single daily act repeated, an hour of reading, a call to one person, a moment of gratitude becomes a highway over time. When you are tempted to believe that miracles must arrive all at once, remember that many mercies are delivered in installments. The divine uses little acts of courage to construct staggering returns. Keep sowing small seeds. Keep showing up for the simple things. After many mornings of faithfulness, you will look back and see a path where there seemed to be none. And walk in that confidence today, knowing that your story is still being written and that what looks like an interruption is often the very thing that redirects you to your true path. The struggle will make the testimony more truthful and the victory more generous. Embrace the work of remaking and step forward with steady eyes. Do the small things that matter. Love the people who are near. Speak truth. Offer mercy. Tend the roots. And rise with courage. Speak honestly and live with generosity. Born from the nights you endured.